Now everybody, let me tell you a story about Hollywood shame, where terrible actors and scripts collide. Oh, what a mess it is on the other side. Saw the lights, camera, action begin, but all I got was a movie that plunged in a spin. From the first scene to the credits that roll, a Hollywood disaster, you've taken its toll. Silver Screen Cesspool, bad movies galore. Can't help but wonder what the hell were they making these for? Throw in some cliches, the sharp, the predictable plot. It's a train wreck, I tell you, it's all they ever got.
And now for our feature presentation.
Welcome to the Silver Screen Cesspool, where we review the pool. And now your host, the surveyor of cinema, the mocker of moronic movies, the terror of tiny town, the last known survivor of battlefield Earth, the one of many, Alan Smithee.
The movie Cross from 2011 stars Brian Austin Green, Michael Clarke Duncan, Jake Busey, Danny Trejo, Tom Sizemore, and the guy who played Lewis in Revenge of the Nerds. So it had all the potential to be a decent movie. However, this potential was not at all realized. It comes off as a student film with big names who have gambling debts to the student's father. Big names, but mediocre special effects, no idea how to build a set or tie a plot together. The movie opens with Detective Tom Sizemore investigating an assault. Unfortunately, the victim, Sam, is unconscious and in the hospital. But that won't stop him. He tells the doctor he's going to wake her up, and he tells Lewis that he needs to stop in the middle of drawing blood from her and leave so he can question her, which pisses Lewis off, but since he's a nerd, he doesn't do anything about it. So as any good police officer would, he yells at her and waves in her face until she wakes up, which works, even though we've already established she slept through a needle being put in her arm. She's understandably confused and asks, "Where am I?" To which our detective replies, and this is a direct quote now, mind you, "Oh, honey, you're in heaven. You're in heaven, and I'm God. Okay, say hi, God." The actress at this point looks genuinely confused, and I'd like to imagine it's because Sizemore went off script. After all, he only did this movie as a favor, and we're not paying him enough to memorize lines or do a second take. So she tells him how two random thugs started bullying her while she was taking pictures with her camera using something called film. That sounds like a plausible form of technology to have existed in 2011. They knock Sam down and she falls comfortably on her back with her hands politely folded across her chest. Suddenly, a group of heavily armed vigilantes shows up with fun names including Jake Busey's Backfire, Riot, War, Shark, Saint, Ranger, Nuke, the Professor, and Mary Ann. But before they can run off the criminal hooligans entirely, another gang rolls up and shoots the hooligans dead. Sam then tells Sizemore that everyone started shooting everyone, which is very specific and helpful. We see bullets break glass, which isn't broken seconds later. Then Brian Austin Green, who I'm just going to call BAG or Bag from here on out, he gets shot a lot. But don't you worry your 1990s teenage crush heart. BAG blows green. BAG glows green, is bulletproof, and can throw people using the Force, all thanks to a magically delicious Celtic cross his dead father gave him. And I'm assuming this is how both his character and the movie got its name. We also see, just for a second, Michael Clarke Duncan, who I will be calling MCD or McD from here on out, peeking out from behind a curtain in the back of a limo, which will help advance the plot, but seems like a weird detail to just throw there as you're recalling the events of a violent shootout. Sam tells Detective Sizemore that Cross is kind of cute. Aww. Then Sizemore tells Sam she's kind of cute, which seems just a smidge inappropriate given the fact he's an on-duty detective about 30 years older than this drugged up, laying in a hospital bed victim of a violent crime he's investigating. Lewis passes off blood he took from Sam and others to two thugs, stating he needs those people alive. The snag is they're all descendants of gods. Meanwhile, two other thugs, one with a Sharpie tattoo on his head, give us some much-needed exposition disguised as dialogue. Someone who is supposed to be a police officer writes them a ticket, so they shoot him. He bleeds Kool-Aid. Now, I say he's supposed to be a police officer because his uniform consists of a tan shirt, a plastic police badge, and a child's walkie-talkie on his waistband. Not on his belt, because the wardrobe department couldn't afford that, so no guns, flashlight, or anything else you might find on a police officer's belt. Maybe he was just on his way to a costume party. Oh yeah, and the thugs have another bloodline girl unconscious in the back seat of their car, which seems like a bad idea since they have a convertible with the top down. But she's hidden by a blanket recently purchased by the prop department from a thrift store. You can tell by the price tag still attached to it and everything. Bag goes to a bar and manages to park on the street directly in front of the front door. He grabs a drink but notices a girl being accosted by two drunks, one wearing a shirt that says, "Dyslexics are teeple poo." He knocks that one out, and the girl kicks the other one in the face while wearing high heels. So we have our love interest for the remainder of the film. They go back to his place because she left her keys in her friend's car and her phone is dead. The love interest is wanting to get frisky, so she goes to the ladies' room. Meanwhile, Bag is thinking about his dad and how when he was 8 years old, he gave him the cross straight from his own neck and told him to never take it off, and then he dropped dead to the floor from 4 gunshot wounds to the back. You remember this cross from earlier, right? The one that was repelling bullets when worn? The love interest comes out wearing nothing but a bra and panties and one of Bag's button-down shirts from his time on 90210. Since he's been thinking about his dad dying, he's not exactly as horny as her in the moment. She feels rejected, but he's like, "No, baby, it's not you. It's just there's so much you don't know about me." And she's like, "There's so much you don't know about me, too." And of course, there's so much they don't know about each other because they only met an hour ago. So I hope there's a lot they don't know about each other. And I'd suggest maybe starting with exchanging first names. And then they do it, which is cool. Somewhere across town, McD is playing I Shit You Not Go Fish against some of his henchmen, but a king is missing. Who is cheating? Is it the henchman with the eye patch? Is it the one in the sleeveless flannel shirt from 1996? Is it Billy Zabka? Wait, is that really the legend? Wait for it. Derry, Billy Zabka, the real star of the Karate Kid? What's he doing here? Before that question gets answered, though, arrives our immortal Viking bad guy, played by Vinnie Jones, best known as the muscular English bad guy in every movie in the past 10 years. The next morning, Bag and his vigilante crew, which seems to grow in numbers every time they're shown, are all off to save another kidnappee. In the middle of this raid on an abandoned warehouse, Jake Busey decides he has to make a boom boom, and he goes number 2 in a stall right next to a bad guy. He then blows that up with a grenade, not explosive diarrhea. They save the girl, but on their way out, the Viking dude, who is now super fast, steals the cross right off Bag's neck. More girls who are descendants of gods get kidnapped. BAG and his crew are set on saving them, cross or not. So they go to a bar, and oh, by the way, our love interest is now on the team, and on her very first mission, she gets herself kidnapped by McD and his men, leading to a standoff in the bar. So she's off to a great start. But in the middle of the standoff, the Sharpie tattoo on that one guy's head changes which side of his head it is on. And then it goes back. But FYI, BAG makes a deal with MCD to only kidnap her for a day, as he's not down with OPP or the music of ODB. His favorite wrestlers, RVD and BTW, With this deal, everything will be A-OK, IMHO, I want my MTV. But that plan ain't working, as McD gets double-crossed by the Viking, as he had bigger plans than money for nothing and checks for free. See, this immortal Viking wants to die, and the only way to do that is to kill everyone on the planet with a magic spear that needs the blood of the descendants of gods to work. So again, the Cross crew raids a warehouse to save all the kidnapped girls, but as it turns out, there's more to the story. Bag is the last needed bloodline to make the spear work. Dun, dun, dun! So they fight it out on the roof. The whole planet turns red for some reason. Bag gets the cross back, puts it on his neck, and does his best Care Bear stare to defeat the bad guy. And the planet goes back to its more traditional blues and greens. Tom Sizemore shows up again to deliver some dialogue and once again not at all interact with the main cast, which is more than I can say for Danny Trejo, who had 1.5 seconds of screen time in the opening backstory montage and then was never seen or heard from again. To sum it up, this movie is a 90210. No, no, no. Cross is available streaming on Amazon Prime.
Silver Screen Cesspool is written, directed, and starring Alan Smithee. Assistant director, producer, and stunt coordinator, Alan Smithee. Boom mic operator, sound editing, and music by Alan Smithee. Construction coordinator, The Amazing Rando. Makeup by Crayola. Catering was provided by the Soylent Corporation. Alan Smithee will be back in Return of the Curse of the Planet of the Prehistoric Bikini Ninjas versus Kingdom of the Bride of the Killer, Shark Cheerleaders 2, Electric Boogaloo.